Makai's Joji, a 26-year-old described as a pitiful cog in society's machine, walks along, utterly exhausted and wishing he didn't have to work anymore. He dreams of a peaceful life in the countryside, surrounded by cute dogs and cats, a stark contrast to his current reality of an unreasonable boss, endless overtime, a bleak future, and a corrupt company. As he walks, he hears something that sounds like an animal cry, making him stop and wonder what it could be. The weary corporate slave finds himself in a situation involving a dragon, leading him to start a pet streaming service. Chapter 1 begins, announcing an unprecedented streaming life where monster videos bring something new. A large, dragon-like creature with wings and horns is shown, alongside smaller, ghost-like beings. Decades ago, dungeons suddenly appeared in Japan. Monsters also began emerging from these dungeons, and nations scrambled to find countermeasures. Dungeons continued to multiply around the world, causing great chaos. Thanks to research into defensive measures, the threat has greatly diminished nowadays. The scene then shifts to people in what appears to be a research facility, examining something while monstrous figures loom in the background. The world is now filled with dungeons, monsters, swords, and magic, a reality far removed from the fairy tales of old. Explorers who retrieve resources from dungeons have become a common profession, strictly managing monsters to prevent their escape. Joji, contemplating this strange new world, crouches down and wonders aloud, "It's real, isn't it?" Monsters occasionally wander into urban areas by mistake, and this one has suffered terrible injuries. Joji, seeing the creature, asks if it's okay, noting that it's quite weakened. The injured monster is shown in distress, while a girl nearby reacts with shock and fear to the unfolding situation. Joji tells the injured creature that it's not the time to be scared, as it might die at this rate. He then extends his hand, promising to heal it right now, and a bright light begins to emanate from his palm. Nearby, another man is utterly terrified, finding the scene far scarier than any crows at the garbage dump. Joji recalls his aptitude for healing magic from his school days as he applies it to the injured creature. He then asks the creature if it's still in pain, and it responds with a soft sound. Joji reassures the small dragon-like creature he healed, which nuzzles him affectionately and makes happy sounds. He pets the creature, glad it's feeling better, and they share a brief, cute moment. As Joji walks through the city with the creature, he asks if its parents are nearby. A stark reminder appears: there's a legal obligation to report monster sightings in urban areas. The small dragon-like creature Joji is holding suddenly starts flailing its limbs, prompting Joji to ask what's wrong. Just then, a colossal, shadowy armored figure appears, and Joji cries out in shock as a swarm of spider-like monsters emerges from a blinding light in the distance. Joji cries out as spider-like monsters swarm toward him, desperately pleading for them not to come into the city. He clutches the small dragon creature he rescued, which seems to be reacting to the danger. Suddenly, a massive mechanical spider monster appears, its glowing eye fixed on Joji and the creature. The large, armored monster attacks, its weapon descending as Joji shields the small dragon creature, crying out in fear. Joji, having survived a massive attack, sits amidst debris with the two small dragons he rescued hovering nearby, acknowledging the overwhelming power he witnessed. Meanwhile, uniformed officials begin to assess the scene, with one speaking to a young man about the ordeal he's been through and another checking on his condition, remarking that such incidents are extremely rare. Officials observe Joji with the small dragon, finding its attachment unusual and cute, though they question if it's truly a dragon child. Joji worries if it would be wrong to take the little one home, but he's told not to fret. Tamed monsters are treated as personal property, and with the proper application at the city office, there's no problem. The situation is considered unprecedented, potentially attracting media attention. A woman in uniform suggests Joji upload videos of the little dragon to social media, explaining how popular cute monster videos are and how a dragon child would go viral. Joji, looking troubled, contemplates raising the creature as a money-making tool and wonders if his dream of quitting his company for a slow life in the countryside is still possible, especially when he hears about people building mansions from monetizing cat videos. The woman in uniform wonders if the little dragon will grow much bigger. Joji, flustered, apologizes to the creature for being unreliable and notes that it must be hungry. He's thinking about how raising adult dragons, which are the size of heavy machinery, would cost an astronomical amount of money. As Joji holds the dragon, he declares he'll make money from video uploads, while the little dragon seems to accept it will have to live strong even without him. Nearby, uniformed officials express excitement about becoming fans of the dragon. Joji returns home with the small dragon, announcing his arrival, but sadly notes there's no one there to greet him. He reflects on his past, recalling that his mother died in an accident when he was young, and his father passed away from illness around the time Joji started working. Joji kneels before an altar in his old, lonely house, the small dragon creature at his side. He decides they are both dirty and need a bath. Later, in the tub, Joji is delighted to discover the creature can swim, and they share a bubbly bath together, with Joji playfully checking for any itchy spots. Joji sits with the small dragon, contemplating the idea of making video uploads for social media. He assures the creature that his phone isn't a toy, while admitting he only watches videos and doesn't make them himself, wondering what content he could possibly film. Joji prepares fried chicken, having researched that dragons are omnivorous and can eat anything. He offers some to the small dragon, which nervously asks if it's okay despite being hot. The dragon then eagerly devours the chicken, and Joji starts recording the scene with his phone, joining in the meal himself. Joji records the small dragon enthusiastically devouring the fried chicken, asking if it's good. As Joji eats his own bento, he reflects that while it's the same bland meal as always, sharing it with the dragon makes it taste delicious. This feeling evokes a deep nostalgia, reminding him of meals shared with others in the past. The dragon, its belly round from the meal, thanks Joji for the food. Joji smiles, remarking on how much the creature ate. He then looks through the many photos and videos he's taken of the dragon, considering uploading them to his page later. Joji realizes he still needs to name the little creature and asks what he should call it. The little dragon ponders its appearance, noting it's mostly blackish with a white belly, and wonders what kind of name would be fitting. Meanwhile, a memory unfolds. A woman prepares a dish she calls Joji's absolute favorite, while a child excitedly asks what she's making. Joji watches this scene, his own favorite dish being prepared. Joji, looking delighted, declares the little dragon's name is Ohagi. The creature responds with a surprised exclamation. Joji confirms the name Ohagi with the dragon, then declares that from today they are family. He formally greets the creature, "Nice to meet you, Ohagi." Ohagi reacts with surprise and happiness. Joji then begins typing a message on his phone, starting to document his new companion with the words, "Let's see, I picked up a dragon," and Joji wakes up feeling sleepy, with Ohagi still beside him in bed. He checks his phone, wondering if he managed to post something. He reflects that tomorrow is his day off and he has a lot to do, including filing breeding registration at the city office and buying filming equipment. He also considers if he should take Ohagi to a veterinary hospital. Ohagi, perched on Joji's back, complains about being a corporate slave. Joji invites Ohagi into bed, then says goodnight. As they settle in, Joji promises to see Ohagi tomorrow, and Ohagi expresses his desire to snuggle. Joji and Ohagi are asleep, but their streaming life has officially begun. Meanwhile, a notification on Joji's phone shows that Rian has liked a post, marking the end of Chapter 1. Rian, a popular dungeon streamer with millions of subscribers, notices the trending dragon Ohagi on social media. She finds the creature incredibly cute and expresses a desire to request a collaboration stream. Meanwhile, Joji is shocked by the news and the attention Ohagi is receiving, questioning the calculations behind it and the notion that Ohagi isn't a proper name for a dragon. Joji is overwhelmed by a barrage of notifications on his phone, realizing the attention Ohagi is receiving has become incredible. He leaves the city office after completing the breeding registration, a process that apparently shocked the clerk due to the rarity of dragons. Joji also mentions acquiring all the necessary filming equipment over the weekend and intends to start filming right away, confident that this will lead to successful video uploads. Joji sees his junior at the company, Ushimaki, looking exhausted and tells her she should rest. Ushimaki, however, insists she's fine and ready to give her best for the day. Later, Ushimaki Megumi, addressing Joji as senpai, declares she has a dream. Joji calls out to his junior, Ushimaki, urging her to get ready for work, and then remarks on her energetic demeanor. Meanwhile, a VTuber named Ruika Nekamiya passionately declares her dream of becoming famous and leaving her company, expecting her investments to pay off handsomely. Others observe her intense ambition with a mix of surprise and concern. The president of Joji's workplace, a man described as the root of all evil, boasts about his company's potential if only they could land a few clients. Meanwhile, his company's reputation is in tatters due to poor performance. He makes an inappropriate offer to one of his employees, asking if she could become his personal secretary, which she immediately and respectfully declines, calling his behavior sexual harassment. The president dismisses her accusation, claiming he's merely trying to interact with his employees. A colleague informs Maceyes that a visitor is waiting for him at the front desk. Maceyes, looking annoyed, is also dealing with urgent documents that require his confirmation. Meanwhile, a cheerful man approaches, exclaiming that it has been a while since he last saw Maceyes. Heizama Genki, a PR department manager at Nagano Pharmaceuticals, apologizes for barging in without an appointment. Furuhata Kazuyoshi, Joji's university friend and an employee at Nagano Pharmaceuticals, arrives and greets Heizama, asking how he's been. In smaller panels, characters offer drinks and mention Nagano Pharmaceuticals' portable food products recommended for dungeon exploration, as well as supplements and energy drinks. A man addresses Makai's, stating he's there for important business. He then reveals their intention. They wish to ask Ohage-chan to promote their company's new product. Joji is utterly shocked, exclaiming "What?" and demanding to know how they are aware of Ohage. A man from Nagano Pharmaceuticals who had arrived with Furuhata tells Joji that Ohage-chan is perfect for their new product's image and they really want to work with him. He expresses surprise that Joji is the owner of the trending dragon, having learned this from Furuhata, and notes how Joji's post went viral. He clarifies that this is a personal request, not company business, and that Joji will receive all the credit, encouraging him to pursue independence if things go well. Joji, surprised, agrees to give it a try. Meanwhile, the company president observes Makai's having an interesting conversation. The company president, seeing a post about the dragon Ohage on his phone, realizes it's the creature Makai's picked up and deems it unacceptable to have such an important conversation without reporting to him. Meanwhile, Joji is leaving work when his junior Ushimaki calls out to him, asking him to wait as she leaves for the day. Joji recalls that Nagano Pharmaceuticals approached him directly with a request regarding Ohage. As he walks with Ushimaki, she asks about the day's visitor and Joji begins to explain. Suddenly, Ushimaki cries out, pleading with Joji to hire her too, interrupting his thoughts about starting filming as soon as he gets home. Ushimaki cries out to Joji, pleading with him not to abandon her and to stop saying things that could be misunderstood, while also lamenting her own terrible situation with VTuber activities and debt. Elsewhere, a person flees a workplace, complaining about overtime, low wages, and a harassing president. Meanwhile, a Chibai Joji confidently lists his skills in video editing and SNS management, while a Chibai Ushimaki asks if he's sure he'll be okay on this important project without anyone's help. The energetic woman from Nagano Pharmaceuticals, accompanied by a colleague, bursts in, apologizing for the intrusion. She immediately asks Joji where Ohage-chan is. Joji replies that Ohage is probably sleeping. Meanwhile, Ushimaki is desperately trying to get Joji to hire her, pulling him along and screaming as he tries to explain the situation. Megumi from Nagano Pharmaceuticals excitedly introduces herself to Ohage-chan, who seems startled. Joji explains to Ushimaki that Ohage-chan is wary because he got too close. Megumi, now holding a bag of groceries, confidently declares she's prepared for animals, monsters, and boys. Meanwhile, someone prepares food, with the saying that capturing stomachs wins love, and Ushimaki is shown eating. Megumi presents a plate of food, urging someone to enjoy it, while Joji looks on with fangs bared, clearly apprehensive. Meanwhile, Ushimaki praises Joji's cooking, asking for seconds as Ohage watches with pure delight. Megumi is overcome with delight at the food, exclaiming she wants it made every day, while Joji finds the meal truly touching, like home cooking. Meanwhile, Ushimaki announces that their setup is complete and only needs power. Joji, looking worried, questions if he's pressing the correct button on the device. Joji and Ushimaki examine a new high-performance magical camera that Ushimaki describes as popular with dungeon streamers and capable of withstanding monster attacks. Ushimaki is thrilled that Joji splurged on it and immediately wants to start filming, much to Joji's surprised reaction. Joji and Ushimaki prepare to film, with Joji letting out an "ah" as the camera begins recording. Joji then addresses the viewers, welcoming them to the Ohage channel and announcing that they've received a sponsorship from Nagano Pharmaceuticals. Ohage-chan sits nearby, watching as Joji holds up a bag of dragon energy snacks. Joji introduces the product, explaining that while it looks like cute gummies for kids, it's actually portable food designed for explorers. Ohage-chan looks at the gummies on a plate and wonders if it will eat them. Ohage-chan reacts with overwhelming delight to the dragon energy snacks, showing stars in her eyes and making excited noises. Meanwhile, Joji, holding up the snack bag, encourages viewers to buy some. He then tastes a snack himself, remarking on its fun, fizzy carbonation and deliciousness, noting it's a safe nutritional supplement approved by the government. Ushimaki observes Ohage's positive reaction and Joji agrees to try some too. Ushimaki exclaims "cut" and declares the footage perfect, stating they can definitely use it. Chibai Ohage-chan agrees that Ohage-chan's expressions were great and suggests editing it right away. Ushimaki, confident, vows to turn the footage into a viral video that will satisfy Nagano Pharmaceuticals, showcasing the results of her intense daily studying despite poor sales. Someone questions if that statement makes her sad. A senior colleague praises Uzumaki for her ability to handle overtime at a difficult workplace, but Uzumaki dismisses it, saying she can work hard for something she loves. The senior then offers Uzumaki valuable advice, telling her to always keep a resignation letter tucked away, as the mindset that she can quit anytime makes one stronger. Uzumaki takes this to heart, resolving to use it as a reference. Later, Joji suggests they film several eating scenes. Uzumaki is utterly exhausted, barely able to keep her eyes open. Meanwhile, a colleague apologizes for keeping someone up all night, explaining they were so absorbed in vlogging that they barely slept. Joji thanks Uzumaki for her help, holding up an SSD containing the video they made. He then tells Makise he'll contact Furuhata right away to have him watch it. The president, working late, is confronted. Joji recognizes the work as belonging to Nagano Pharmaceuticals and demands it be returned. The president then addresses Makise, requesting the dragon child she is keeping, stating that such a valuable creature will inevitably attract unwanted attention and demanding it be handed over to his company. A man from Nagano Pharmaceuticals excitedly declares they will use the dragon child as their company mascot, envisioning TV commercials, high demand, and merchandise development that will skyrocket their performance. Joji and his companion react with shock. The man gloats about making easy money from the dragon. Meanwhile, Joji, with his eyes obscured, states, "Don't mess with me," and vows to put the dragon to better use than they can. The man then tries to entice Joji with a promotion, offering to buy the dragon from him. Joji reflects on how Ohage-chan has grown attached to him, acting spoiled but smiling, and how their simple shared life makes him happy, recognizing her as a precious existence. Meanwhile, Uzumaki is distressed, hearing talk of buying or utilizing Ohage. Joji confronts the president, grabbing him by the collar and shouting that he shouldn't treat his precious family like an object. He then declares that no matter what happens, he will protect Ohage. The president, enraged, demands to know what kind of way that is to speak to his president, calling him a bastard. Uzumaki watches the tense exchange. Uzumaki cries out, demanding the return of the precious video she and Senpai made. As the president is grabbed and reacts with surprise, Uzumaki pushes him, yelling that he's annoying. Joji calls out Uzumaki's name, watching the confrontation unfold. A woman tries to discuss important business with President Ibukawa, but he rudely dismisses her, claiming he is busy. Meanwhile, a shocking revelation is made. Resignation letters have been submitted by almost all employees. The president is then handed the overwhelming stack of these letters. President Ibukawa is being confronted by employees who declare they can no longer tolerate his arrogant behavior and that someone from the Labor Standards Office is waiting to speak with him. Meanwhile, a department manager is confused by the sudden events. A man reveals that he was waiting for the right timing, but this was the plan all along, as a woman states she's considering going independent and starting a business. In another scene, a young man agrees to something with determination, while an older man tells Makise that it's time to cut ties and follow her own path, having found what she wants to do. President Ibukawa is furious, struggling against his employees and shouting about traitors. He then turns to Uzumaki, pleading with her not to abandon him. Meanwhile, other employees are actively submitting their resignation letters, declaring "Goodbye, scumbag president." The president is overwhelmed by the mass resignations, with onlookers remarking that he's dead. Chapter 2 concludes. The chapter opens outside a building with Joji, Ohage-chan on his head, and a masked companion. The companion points out a monster nearby. Joji reflects that after being a corporate slave, he never imagined he would be going into a dungeon. Ohage-chan enthusiastically agrees. A waiting companion then tells Joji they should go. A few days ago, Joji, Ohage-chan, and Uzumaki visited the Kawazu Animal Hospital. Joji questioned if he was lacking exercise, but later admitted to director Kawazukeru that he had been overeating Uzumaki's delicious cooking, resulting in a diagnosis of metabolic syndrome. The director offered his own assessment, suggesting it was more a matter of magic deficiency and combat deficiency, though Joji clarified it wasn't simply obesity. Director Kawazukeru explains to Joji that spirits are magical life forms made of pure energy, and it's thanks to them that creatures like Ohage-chan can use magic. Joji confirms he learned this in school. These spirits inhabit their bodies, granting magical power. While magic wasn't originally a human ability, monsters are different. Joji questions if the ability to use magic from birth is hereditary from parents. A historical note reveals that during the Great Chaos, when dungeons appeared decades ago, the government inoculated young citizens with spirits as a countermeasure. Director Kawazukeru explains that Ohage-chan's poor condition seems to stem from a spirit deficiency due to insufficient magic use, though her previous wounds healed miraculously. He suggests a dungeon would be a good place for her to use her magic freely, and Joji excitedly declares it's time for her Explorer debut. Arriving at the Explorer Management Bureau, known as the Guild, Joji is told he has what it takes to be an explorer. Joji, Ohage-chan, and their companion arrive at the Explorer Management Bureau. A staff member greets them, directing them to take a number and wait in the lobby. Joji expresses his apprehension about becoming an explorer, but Ohage-chan enthusiastically assures him that with her by his side, he will be the strongest. Meanwhile, their companion discovers information about escort recruitment quests, noting that one can hire an escort if they are afraid of combat. Joji, inspired by their current momentum, declares it's time to start dungeon streaming. Ohage-chan is thrilled, celebrating that her monetization has been approved, her viewership is skyrocketing, and a sponsored video has received an amazing response, making her a popular streamer. A burly man with sunglasses overhears talk of dungeon streaming and confronts Joji, asking if he's really registering as an explorer. Joji and Ohage-chan react with shock, Ohage-chan wondering if this is a classic encounter. The man then shouts that weaklings should go home, implying harassment. Processing manga page. I am currently processing a single manga page to generate story notes for a recap pipeline. My focus is on narrating the events sequentially, moving from right to left and top to bottom, as if telling a story. I am avoiding any analysis of the page's structure or commentary on the panels themselves. Capturing visual narratives, I'm focused on translating the visual flow of the manga page into a story. My goal is to narrate the unfolding events sequentially, capturing the excitement of the man in sunglasses and the reactions of Ohage-chan, Joji, and Ushimaki, as well as the crowd's enthusiastic recognition. I'm working to convey the scene of Ohage-chan's popularity and the subsequent dialogue. Narrating scene events. I'm focusing on detailing the sequence of actions and dialogue presented, capturing the excitement of the fan and the reactions of Ohage-chan's group. My current narrative describes the crowd's recognition, the subsequent exchange between Joji and his companion, and the realization of Ohage-chan's rising fame. Kuroko Hanzo, an explorer, asks for more details, while her companion brings up the escort they had mentioned. Joji, with Ohage-chan on his head, asks Hanzo-san to take care of them, and she agrees, stating that she came to the dungeon with them and agreed to be their escort. At the Explorer Management Bureau, a character explains the process from registration to escort, thanking Joji. Meanwhile, another character remarks that exploring with Ohage-chan is a privilege, while Joji is asked if he wants a photo with Ohage-chan looking cute. Joji excitedly announces his first dungeon stream and channel. A staff member asks if they are ready to go and if Joji brought his exploration permit, and he enthusiastically confirms. The system is explained. A rescue party is dispatched if explorers don't return within a set time limit, and Joji notes this is like a mountain climbing notification. The entrance to the dungeon lies ahead. Decades ago, the crystal tree and monsters suddenly appeared, a great discovery for humanity. People were fascinated by these dungeons, which were treasure troves of precious materials, and this even gave birth to the profession of explorers. However, that doesn't mean there's no danger, though now they're strictly regulated and safety has improved. Story notes ***. A distressed man warns, please never let your guard down, as Ohage-chan looks on. A woman with glasses then apologizes for startling someone. Sorry I scared you, didn't I? Joji responds with reassurance, *********** reassuring, and adds that with Ohage-chan present, it'll be fine. They arrive at a grand staircase with a voice announcing, "We've arrived itis over there." As they stand before the entrance, a companion remarks on the world's mysteries, a world where everything still hasn't been fully understood. Joji looks ahead, contemplating the vast, unexplored territories awaiting them. From here on, there are many places that remain unexplored by humanity. A woman with glasses welcomes them, saying, "Welcome to the dungeon." The man with a winged creature on his shoulder turns and declares, "Now let us go." They stand before a strange, crystalline tree, marking the entrance to the dungeon. Joji looks up, exclaiming in amazement as birds fly around him. In the background, Ohage-chan and a companion walk on. Joji then turns, his eyes wide with surprise, and says, "This is a dungeon." Ohage-chan in the foreground looks eager. Joji and Ohage-chan are instantly transported into a forest, a surprising experience for their first time. Ohage-chan suggests they explore casually since they haven't decided on a particular target, and they learn this is a designated beginner-friendly zone because the monsters are weak. Meanwhile, a live stream interface announces Ohage-chan's stream, Exploration First Dungeon with Ohage, here we go on the Ohage channel. Ohage-chan greets her viewers live from the dungeon, while Joji announces they are exploring together. Ohage-chan playfully comments on her own appearance, and their companion mentions they have an escort with them for their first time, which Joji finds reassuring. Hanzo warns Joji that monsters are approaching, causing him to exclaim in surprise. She then corrects herself, realizing there are 3 of them. A bright flash erupts as the spider-like monsters appear. A tremendous blast erupts, prompting Joji to exclaim it's as expected of a dragon and thank Ohagi, though he asks her to dial back the firepower. Ohagi-chan, meanwhile, is overjoyed, marveling at her own strength, while another observer notes her tremendous power. A creature nearby reacts with a startled "ah" and "hi." Phew, Joji breathes, relieved after the intense battle. He's glad his support magic, which boosted speed and defense, proved useful. Hanzo remarks that the sheer number of spider-like monsters had been quite a hassle. Joji, looking satisfied, notes that his practice has paid off. Hanzo remarks that the forest feels unusually calm, while Ohagi-chan senses something strange. Suddenly, Ohagi-chan senses something and runs ahead. Joji and Hanzo call out to her, asking where she's going and deciding to follow. Ohagi-chan's sudden dash leads them to a grim discovery. A large, wolf-like creature lies gravely wounded on the forest floor, bleeding profusely. Joji stares in disbelief, questioning if it's truly a wolf, as the injured beast emits a pained growl. Joji's companions warn him not to approach the wounded beast, but he insists he must help it, stating he can't just leave it behind. As he moves, he's warned of immediate danger, shouting for someone to look up and get away, realizing something is wrong from above. Amidst the chaos, a voice reassures that it's fine because everyone is watching, as Joji prepares to heal someone. Joji looks up, his attention drawn to a monstrous bat-like creature hanging directly above him. The creature's face is a horrifying sight, with sharp spikes, a mouth full of teeth, and multiple unsettling eyes. A close-up reveals another grotesque face, dominated by a multitude of wide, staring eyes. A massive, explosive force slams into Joji and Hanzo. As Joji cries out in shock, what? A colossal, spiky entity descends from above. Hanzo declares the situation "this is bad," just as more monstrous creatures appear, announcing their arrival as reinforcements. Hanzo declares they are surrounded and escape is impossible. Joji calls out to Hanzo and Ohagi, announcing he's cast maximum buffs and urging them to hold on. Despite the danger, Joji insists he won't give up on saving the wounded wolf, even if it means becoming a decoy. Hanzo questions Joji's actions, finding his continued attempt to help the wolf unreasonable given their dire situation. Ohagi-chan questions Joji's extreme actions, asking why he goes so far. Joji is shown desperately helping a wounded great wolf without regard for danger or reward. He believes his kind heart is precisely the reason he acts this way. Ohagi-chan, who was drawn to this very spot, observes the scene. Ohagi-chan directs her allies, telling them to handle the large monster while she deals with the surrounding spiders. As Hanzo fights, she remarks on the competence of their escort and urges them to do their best. Joji shouts a warning, alerted to a threat targeting him, while Hanzo continues to battle, noting the ninja-like skill of her opponent. Amidst the chaos, Joji desperately yells for a monster to stop, forbidding it from touching Ohagi-chan as a smaller creature is attacked. The monstrous bird-like creature unleashes a devastating blast, its allies shouting for it to blow it away, and noting its incredible speed. Joji, meanwhile, focuses his healing magic on the wounded wolf, but finds his efforts are being interfered with and the wounds are not healing fast enough. He urges himself not to panic, to concentrate, reminding himself he is human. The gravely wounded wolf looks at Joji and declares it will lend him a hand. A message announces that the great wolf has awakened, promising a team-up for next time as Chapter 3 concludes. The great wolf declares it will lend Joji a hand. Joji reacts with confusion, hearing voices and questioning if it's Hanzo speaking, though he dismisses it as irrelevant. He then focuses on the wolf, and as it lets out a growl, Joji's hands begin to glow with power. The great wolf's power surges as Joji feels an overwhelming connection forming between them, his hands glowing with energy. Meanwhile, in a different setting, a young man is told by Ohagi-chan that she's amazed he can now understand what she's saying. He replies that they aren't going home yet, but are heading to the guild. Elsewhere, another character notes that the examination is over and finds a small creature adorable, recalling something Dr. Kawazu said. An older man explains to 2 children that Joji and Ohagi are connected. Meanwhile, a young man contemplates the nature of spirits connecting to allow communication, a phenomenon he considers taming. He then experiences a strong bond forming with a small, winged creature, marveling at how wonderful it is. A voice urges, "Accept it," as a monstrous wolf roars. Joji is caught in a massive surge of energy, exclaiming in surprise as the wolf-like entity merges with him. He is overwhelmed by a flood of unknown magical knowledge, gasping out some so. The wolf spirit commands Joji to now use it. Though confused and calling out to Ohagi, Joji unleashes a powerful blast, shouting, "Take this." An observer, witnessing the overwhelming force, can only exclaim, "This is." The immense energy blast Joji unleashed continues to erupt, shocking observers. A massive clawed appendage recoils from the blast, while others cry out in confusion and fear, wondering what is happening and what will become of them. A monstrous dragon-like entity roars in shock, its massive form filling the panel. It cries out in disbelief, "What is that?" Joji, distressed, wonders if Ohagi is present. Beside him, a wolf-like creature watches as another figure shouts in shock, "Joji-san, what on earth is this?" A dragon-like monster roars in confusion, while large spider creatures continue their assault amidst the chaos of battle. The monstrous dragon-like entity roars in disbelief, reeling from the immense power unleashed. A smaller, robotic creature growls nearby, while Joji, still glowing with residual energy, is overwhelmed. Beside him, Ohagi cries out that it ran away, as a large, monstrous creature roars and a winged figure flees into the distance. The dragon unleashes a devastating blast of energy upwards. A winged creature, caught in the torrent, braces itself amidst the chaos of explosions and debris. The overwhelming energy blast continues to erupt, filling the scene with blinding light and debris. In the aftermath, a creature with glowing eyes lets out a pained cry amidst the destruction, as the sounds of impact and explosions echo. An announcement from Reset SCANS declares they are actively recruiting translators for Japanese, Korean, and Chinese, as well as editors. They invite interested individuals to join their Discord server and offer several ways to support their efforts, including PayPal, Patreon, and Ko-Fi. The page also dedicates a section to special thanks for their patrons, listing numerous names under tiers ranging from diamond to bronze. A hand reaches out and the word "all right" is spoken. The young man expresses relief that he managed to heal something while a wolf-like creature is beside him. Nearby, Ohagi notes that there's no sign of the spider creatures returning and she feels they've made it through. Suddenly, a large dragon-like monster roars fiercely and Joji cries out in alarm. Joji assures a large dragon that he will turn back to normal soon. A wolf is present, and someone comments on Joji's amazing ability to tame both a dragon and a wolf. As Ohagi arrives, a conversation turns to the large wolf. Despite concerns it might be hunted by explorers, the wolf expresses a strong desire to stay with Joji, who agrees. Joji declares that they have won the battle, gained a new companion, and settled everything, though he admits there were some difficult moments. Ohagi announces the conclusion of her first dungeon stream, thanking everyone for joining and bidding them farewell. She expresses anticipation for future videos featuring the Great Wolf and encourages viewers to like and subscribe to the channel. The stream then officially ends. Joji congratulates Hanzo, stating they made it through thanks to him. Meanwhile, someone remarks that they've never seen a monster like this before, describing it as resembling a mythical arachne, a fusion of a woman and a spider. Hanzo apologizes for letting such a dangerous situation occur while he was present. A decision is made to report the incident to the guild. Hanzo muses that it's surprising an unknown monster would appear in a beginner's dungeon, and Joji asks Hanzo what something is. The character with glasses identifies a cube as an item box, explaining it's made from mimics and allows them to easily store defeated monsters. Another person comments on its convenience, noting that a bag wouldn't even be needed. The first character clarifies that it's an item for collecting corpses and materials, but unfortunately not very versatile as it cannot store inorganic objects or living things. They also confirm it won't work for storing streaming equipment. The blonde character asks if the Great Wolf's injuries were caused by the arachne, while Joji wonders if he just saw something move. The Great Wolf reveals it was attacked before arriving, caught off guard by lingering injuries, but its attackers are no longer present. Hanzo observes that whoever attacked the Great Wolf must be very strong, as he doubts someone as powerful as the wolf would lose to a weaker foe. Joji agrees that the unseen attacker must indeed be strong. The Great Wolf's presence had kept weaker monsters at bay, but when it was incapacitated, the spider forces grew stronger. Joji and his companion acknowledge this explanation. The Great Wolf then asks Joji a question. Before coming here, Joji's companion suggests that while the immediate threat has passed, they should reassess the dungeon's difficulty level and request the guild investigate, to which Joji agrees. Monsters discuss whether they come from another world connected to the dungeon. Joji reflects that the situation feels like something out of an isekai fantasy. The scene then shifts to an exterior location, where someone exclaims in amazement at Joji's potential as an explorer. Joji and his companions encounter an older man who is astonished that Joji managed to tame a magnificent great wolf on his very first dungeon exploration. The Great Wolf apologizes for troubling him again. Meanwhile, Ohagi, who claims to be a private practitioner who left hospital politics behind, is recognized by Hanzo as someone who frequently assists the guild and is famous among explorers. The older man is revealed to be Dr. Kawazu, a renowned monster researcher. who exchanges pleasantries with Hanzo and is surprised to learn Joji knows him. The Great Wolf is confirmed to be healing well. Meanwhile, a conversation touches upon Ohaga's growth and a small dragon companion. Someone spots a creature, calling out to Lucky and recognizing it as a slug-like thing they've encountered before. Dr. Kawazu is then asked to examine the monster that attacked them, but he remarks that he has never seen anything like it. The fluffy creature, Lucky, apologizes to Dr. Kawazu for his energetic antics and for running off. A woman playfully suggests playing with Lucky during his next checkup. Suddenly, Lucky barks in alarm as a menacing growl erupts, and a dark, dangerous phenomenon begins to unfold. A monstrous fluffy creature with multiple eyes lets out a terrifying roar, shocking those who witness it. Amidst the unfolding chaos and a menacing growl, Hanzo urgently calls for Joji to come to the examination room, stating they need help. A young girl cries out in panic for Lucky, asking what is wrong. The doctor confirms that Lucky's life is no longer in danger, though he will keep the puppy overnight for observation. Lucky is now completely back to normal, much to the relief of his owner. Later, after examining various things, Dr. Kawazu reveals his findings. He holds up a specimen jar containing a slug-like creature, explaining that this parasite was responsible for affecting Lucky's body, as well as the arachne and spider monsters. Dr. Kawazu explains that the creatures they encountered, like the arachne, were likely parasites that feed on spirits, devouring the host's magical energy to increase aggression and alter their physical form. He shows a specimen jar containing one of these slug-like parasites, noting that while it looks like one creature, its body is mostly composed of magical energy. Joji asks if Ohagi and the others were infected by these slugs. Meanwhile, Hanzo instructs someone to report the incident to the guild immediately, identifying the individual responsible for the arachne as a mutated spider monster. Another person confirms that the arachne was covered in these parasites. Realizing this explains the monster's ferocity in the dungeon. Dr. Kawazu assures the Great Wolf and its companions that he found no magical disturbances and believes they are safe. He then explains that these creatures also have the effect of enhancing abilities, and warns that if this becomes public knowledge, some might try to exploit it. From examining Lucky, he discovered that when parasitized, Lucky's strength and magical power increased dramatically. He instructs them to be careful not to spread this information carelessly, and to tell the guild to investigate this matter secretly. The Great Wolf expresses immense relief that Senpai is safe, while Senpai himself is knocked down with an oof. Nearby, others discuss the need for caution, acknowledging that such threats might be encountered again in future explorations and reflecting on the existence of such dangers. Meanwhile, a group excitedly watches a live stream of a battle, praising its intensity and comparing it to a movie. They also comment on the power of Ohaga-chan's final attack as a huge dragon, and one person expresses worry that the stream has ended. Joji and his companions are trying to decide on a name for the Great Wolf. The girl suggests Zenzai, commenting on Joji's unique naming sense. Joji considers the name, while a small creature on the wolf's head approves, and Joji begins to mention potential issues. Joji muses that worrying won't solve anything. The group formally welcomes Zenzai, their new family member, and decides to celebrate with premium meat. A feast is laid out, and Ohagi welcomes Zenzai, congratulating everyone on their successful first dungeon stream. A hand presents a specimen jar, stating it is what Dr. Kawazu entrusted to her. She warns that the material within is extremely dangerous and must be handled with caution. Meanwhile, at the guild, officials acknowledge Dr. Kawazu will continue his analysis and report his findings, vowing to investigate the matter urgently. Elsewhere, a man in a hat grins slyly before a directive is given to proceed with the matter in utmost secrecy. The group arrives at a place called Monster Park, with the main character remarking, "So this is Monster Park." Nearby, a poster announces a collaboration event between Monster Park and the Ohagi channel, inviting people to come play with Ohagi-chan. The young man, wearing a wolf-like hood and holding a small creature, looks around the bustling area, expressing his excitement. A few days earlier, a fluffy creature and the protagonist excitedly announced a major collaboration. They revealed that the Ohagi channel would be partnering with Monster Park, much to the surprise of a wolf-like companion. The protagonist then explained that Monster Park is a huge playground for monsters, divided into areas for monsters and spectators. Monster Park is described as a unique fusion of a dog park and a zoo, where monsters can play freely while visitors watch them up close. A character expresses gratitude for Makai-sama's wait. Meanwhile, another character is thrilled about the Ohaga-chan collaboration event at Monster Park, excited about the merchandise and food, and invites everyone to join them. The director of Monster Park, Jayabu Fukujiro, formally welcomes visitors. A group of fans eagerly discuss the collaboration. deciding what to eat and head inside with one determined to meet expectations. The man in the hat tells Ohagi and their companions not to feel pressured and to enjoy the park to the fullest. Ohagi wonders what food they should eat, and someone replies that experiencing the park is the best way for them to understand and promote the facility. Joji exclaims in surprise as they take in the sights, with various monsters like Ohagi and Zenzai excitedly exploring the area. A winged creature excitedly calls out to play, while Joji stretches nearby with Zenzai the Great Wolf. Elsewhere in the park, staff members are present, and there's a play area filled with equipment for monsters. Later, a large, imposing wolf-like monster stands with Joji, who is holding a small creature. Joji and his companions encounter other visitors. One woman asks if her child can join them, and others remark on how cute the creatures are and express a desire to play. Another visitor politely asks to be excused. Capturing Zenzai's appearance, I'm working through the right-to-left progression, noting Zenzai's startling arrival and subsequent interaction. My aim is to distill the sequence of events involving the winged creature and the panda monster efficiently. Summary: Zenzai, the Great Wolf, appears in a powerful, intimidating form, causing Joji to exclaim and ask him to refrain from intimidating others. Meanwhile, a small winged creature interacts with a panda-like monster, affectionately nuzzling it after initiating play. Joji observes Zenzai and a tanuki creature, noting they've already become fast friends, while a small winged creature feels ignored. Elsewhere, a character apologizes about bunboku. In the next moment, Joji exclaims in surprise, feeling he's seen a particular child somewhere before. Later, Joji excitedly greets a girl, telling her he always enjoys her streams, and she introduces herself to Makai-san. The girl Jayabu Chacha, a popular streamer from Bunboku Diary, greets Joji and asks if he watches her content, holding her tanuki companion Bunboku. She mentions that her show was her comfort during her corporate slave days. Chacha then reveals she has heard about Joji from her grandfather, Director Jayabu, and that Bunboku wants to play. She offers to guide Joji, who eagerly accepts. The elderly man is confirmed to be Director Jayabu, Chacha's grandfather. Joji smiles, glad that a friend has been made, while a small girl watches him. Elsewhere, a character activates their BL vision to observe a wild and sexy werewolf Ajisen and a small, innocent dragon Shota. The observer finds the werewolf very appealing and considers pairing him with the dragon, musing about how thick the resulting doujinshi would be. Joji suddenly feels uneasy, asking if he heard something, but the girl reassures him that it's nothing. Joji struggles through a monster-sized obstacle course, clutching his side in pain. Meanwhile, Zenzai the Great Wolf declares he must put his body on the line, embodying the spirit of a true streamer, and tells Joji not to push himself. Elsewhere, a chaotic scene unfolds with a winged creature and other monsters, drawing gasps of amazement and exclamations of torture from onlookers. At the monster salon, a wolf-like creature is being washed with foam, with one character questioning if the equipment is meant for heavy machinery. Chacha cheerfully suggests cleaning off the mud from playing. Joji, initially soaked and realizing his raincoat was pointless, then exclaims that it's fun being wrapped in foam like whipped cream just as a large splash erupts. At Mampa's hot spring, Joji is in a large public bath with a fluffy monster, exclaiming his disbelief at its presence. Smaller creatures play in the water nearby, and a note indicates special permission was obtained for a photo shoot. Elsewhere, Joji and Zenzai relax in an open-air bath. Joji later finds himself melting in a bath before enjoying the soothing jet bath, declaring it the best after exercise. The restaurant floor is busy with collaboration menu items. Joji enthusiastically devours a large burger, finding the experience akin to a resort. At another table, Zenzai and companions also enjoy the delicious-looking and tasting collaboration menu. Suddenly, Joji exclaims that the food tastes like crap, only to then express bliss while eating again, thinking it's like a resort. A customer, President Ibukawa, loudly complains that the food is tough, smells like cheap meat, and is a ripoff, demanding the manager. Joji is shocked to see him there. Elsewhere, the popular streamer George is seen smoking. Joji then approaches Mr. Ibukawa, expressing surprise and asking why he is present. The stylish man, who also keeps monsters, declares he's here as a customer. Joji notices a slime with a strange machine inside. Elsewhere, a man smoking is told to shut up, and Chacha intervenes, scolding him for smoking in the park and asking Joji to refrain from disturbing other guests. A hand drops something into a pot, and when asked if it's okay, the person replies that the substance dissolves anything. Joji and Chacha react with shock, with Joji exclaiming, "What are you doing?" The person with glasses protests that it's poison for the slime's body. Meanwhile, a man with sunglasses smugly asserts his importance as a famous streamer, prompting Joji to ask if he is truly the owner of a child. Zenzai, the wolf-like creature, stands with Joji and another man who cries out in distress. Joji expresses his concern, hoping that a slime will be alright, while the man with glasses declares he is generous and will let something slide. Two small monsters play together, one calling out excitedly. Elsewhere, a memory surfaces of a time when monsters were only terrifying creatures, and people couldn't imagine living alongside them in harmony. Meanwhile, a young woman expresses disbelief that some people still treat monsters like mere objects, while a young man apologizes for causing a disturbance. Mr. Mackeyes is thanked for his earlier warning about a certain person. Grandpa wanted everyone to know something, so he built this facility. Some monsters, however, are affectionate and can become friendly. Chacha explains that this park is a treasure to them, a place where monsters can become as close as friends and family. Joji, having found them, calls out to Chacha, noting that the cheeky little girl is with him too. The man with sunglasses grins, eager to see how someone's face will change as he pours a liquid from a bottle. Small monsters make various noises, including a panda-like creature calling out. Joji and a young girl react with shock to a loud, alarming sound, while a panda monster questions KYU. The two large monsters suddenly go berserk, roaring ferociously as people cry out for help. Chacha is shocked, exclaiming Bunbuku, as it's confirmed the monsters have suddenly gone mad. Amidst the panic, a monster lets out a distressed roar, and Joji, witnessing the chaos, desperately asks what is happening. The large monster Bunbuku is struck with tremendous force, causing Chacha to cry out in distress, but someone reassures her that he will recover soon. As the situation escalates and Joji reacts with shock, a phone call delivers an urgent message to him. Meanwhile, slugs are dissolving in a liquid, with a voice beginning to warn about them. Two officers report that the arachne's corpse was stolen along with slugs, and they are currently caught up in a commotion believed to be caused by them. They are tracking the culprit by following a scent, while one officer exclaims in shock. Meanwhile, a person in a hooded jacket tells Hanzo to hand over the phone, instructing Joji to use either Ohage's magic or his own on the slugs. Dr. Kawazu on the phone asks if Zenzai had any slug parasites during a recent checkup. Joji, reflecting, realizes that Ohage's magical energy can destroy slugs, and his own spirit-connected magic should have a similar effect. A Bukawa arrives holding a bottle of slugs and is asked why he has them. He responds that he has come. A slime monster explains that big corporations have many enemies and plenty of dirty work, and that he was hired to cause a commotion using the slugs. A Bukawa then declares he came to teach a lesson for being cheeky, make money, and kill two birds with one stone, aiming for a day with many visitors. A command is given to destroy everything as a massive, rocky entity crumbles. Joji urgently calls out to Ohage, ordering it to transform into its giant form, and the creature begins to change with bursts of energy amidst the chaos. Joji is frustrated, realizing his magic isn't reaching its target. He resolves to find a way to get his magic to the main body, questioning if the armor is too hard for his magic to penetrate. Amidst a massive, explosive impact that crumbles the surroundings, a voice cries out that it's not working. Joji realizes that unlike attack magic, healing magic can permeate an entire body. He proposes a combination technique to Ohage, and after a determined all right, he instructs Ohage to imagine channeling his healing magic through the flow of magical energy, focusing on their connection. Then, with a command to do it Ohage, they unleash their combined power. Their combined power erupts, unleashing a devastating blast that tears through the rocky terrain. Joji gasps, looking up in shock. Above him, debris rains down as a small, cat-faced monster ascends amidst a surge of powerful energy. To the right, a larger, round monster with similar features is caught in the destructive force, with immense power shaking the surroundings. The president's arrest is announced on television, shocking a man who claims innocence. Meanwhile, a company faces complete bankruptcy due to recent events, and someone is declared a miracle survivor amidst the destruction. A large, round monster states it has just kind of connected with someone, prompting a girl to wonder if Joji has tamed another one. Joji, putting the president's arrest aside, seems to be discussing the situation further. Mackeyes is thanked by the park's inhabitants for saving them. She then shares a moment with a boy, assuring him they will repay their debt of gratitude and telling him not to worry. Their interaction is interrupted by another girl who, jealous of their closeness, aggressively claims the boy, declaring he belongs to her. The boy observes the scene, remarking on how scary the junior is, though he acknowledges she's a good kid. Joji declares that a slime creature is now family and promises a welcome party when they get home. Meanwhile, a girl mentions she has already decided on a name for the creature. Later, Joji, holding the slime, is greeted by someone named Canton, and another character comments on Joji's peculiar naming sense, finding the creature cute but questioning it. Ushimaki urgently calls out to Senpai, shaking him awake. Still groggy from being up all night, Senpai asks what's wrong. Ushimaki frantically urges him to look outside, exclaiming that something is happening. An exciting new development unfolds as a massive crystalline tree appears, radiating brilliant light. Someone begins to comment, "There's nothing particular," before the scene shifts to a girl and a boy staring in utter shock and surprise. A massive crystalline tree continues to appear, prompting someone to ask if it is a crystal tree. Below, Joji and his companions are shocked, with Joji exclaiming in surprise. Senpai, looking out from a building, recognizes the phenomenon with disbelief, exclaiming that it must be a dream and impossible for it to be in their yard. A powerful impact erupts, sending the orange-haired girl reeling with cries of shock and pain. Suddenly, a vast grassland appears and a large, fluffy, wolf-like creature stands within it. The dark-haired boy looks on in disbelief while a pained groan of "ow ow" is heard. A small, winged dragon happily flies through the sky above a large, pale slime creature. The chapter announces that because a dragon has taken an interest, they will begin pet streaming, focusing on Chibico dragon and monster ranch life. The crystalline tree continues to grow, its branches reaching towards the sky and radiating light. Joji and a girl sit in the grass, awestruck and shocked as Joji thinks, "A dungeon sprouted at home." Meanwhile, small creatures fly in the distance, one of them questioning the unbelievable reality of the situation. Joji shouts as he moves, deciding to explore the area. He is with a girl, looking out at a vast, lush grassland that spreads from the gate entrance, with forests and rivers visible in the distance. He remarks that there isn't a single monster shadow, so it seems safe, but then immediately reconsiders his assessment. Joji exclaims in surprise, reacting to something behind him, while another character panics as Senpai suddenly vanishes, leaving only an outline. A map appears showing a limited explorable area that feels like an RPG map, with points designed to return users to the entrance. Meanwhile, a girl checks her phone, noting the lack of signal but recalling seeing videos about dungeons sprouting on private property. Another character remarks that the new area is still plenty spacious. The characters remark on how sudden everything has been, with no prior signs, and ponder the location where the crystalline tree first sprouted. Down below, Canton the slime is enthusiastically devouring its welcome feast, while a small, rabbit-like creature makes curious sounds. A small, winged creature makes soft kuru sounds as it moves. Suddenly, a similar creature flies towards a startled Joji who shouts its name, Ohagi. Later, Joji questions why someone is suddenly using the bathroom outside, as the creature makes kuru-kuru sounds nearby, while he reflects on a strange feeling he had, connecting it to the crystalline tree. A small, winged creature looks on with confusion, a question mark appearing above its head. In the background, a man observes that the crystalline tree was giving birth to a dungeon. Elsewhere, an older man examining something exclaims that the magical energy of this dungeon almost perfectly matches Ohagi-chan's magical energy. Another person, looking at a van, simply remarks that this is surprising.